In the corner of our wedding reception, there was a chair that remained empty. It wasn't for a late grandmother. It wasn't for a dear friend who couldn't attend. It was for her, the woman my husband almost married. My mother-in-law called it a tribute to friendship, but I called it a declaration of war. While everyone else saw lace and gold, shimmer and champagne, I saw betrayal. Most brides might have cried. Some might have fled the venue, but I decided that if she wanted to invite a ghost to my wedding, I was going to make sure that ghost had something to listen to during the speeches. This is the story of how a single empty chair ended a 30-year family legacy. Our reception hall was a masterpiece. Crystal chandeliers, ivory roses, gold flatware that glittered beneath candlelight. My husband, David, stood at the head table, looking at me with eyes full of a future I thought we both shared. Joy hung in the air like warm perfume. And then, sand in the gears. As we walked toward the head table, my breath hitched. There, right next to his mother, was a place setting. An elegant card in swirling calligraphy. One white as linen. He hadn't known. But his mother, a woman who had spent 3 years reminding me I was second choice, smiled at me with the cold stillness of a winter morning. She didn't just place a name card. She issued a symbolic ultimatum. Her actions whispered something louder than words. If she were truly first, she wouldn't need validation. It wasn't small. It wasn't accidental. It was public. It was humiliating. And the worst part? No one in the room saw dishonor. They saw etiquette. They saw politeness. They saw a perfectly staged tableau. But I saw the truth. She had turned my wedding into a courtroom, and I was the defendant. We sat at the table, or at least I tried. David leaned in and whispered, "Please, just ignore it. Don't ruin the night. Those are the most dangerous words in a marriage. Just ignore it. When you ignore a fire, the house burns down." I watched Evelyn raise her glass. "Here is to true love," she said sweetly. And in the same breath, she glanced at that empty chair as if waiting for applause. Not one guest questioned her. Not one person asked why there was a name card for someone who wasn't invited. Silence became consent. But I wasn't silent because I was afraid. I was silent because I was preparing my own toast. The night kept spinning. Laughter over appetizers. Clinking glasses. Classical music drifting like warm air through silk curtains. People danced. People smiled. People complimented the centerpieces. But my pulse stayed anchored on that empty chair. A ghost at the table. A reminder that I was still competing with someone who wasn't even present. In family psychology, there's a concept called symbolic displacement. It happens when someone uses image or ritual to communicate dominance without speaking it directly. By placing her son's ex-girlfriend's name at the head table, Evelyn wasn't honoring history. She was displacing reality. She was telling the room and her son that the woman who should be sitting there wasn't me. This is not simple rudeness. It is psychological fencing disguised as etiquette. If I reacted, I would be labeled dramatic. If I stayed quiet, I would be humiliated. She had designed a perfect trap, unless I changed the rules. When the main course finished and the band paused, I stood. The room fell quiet. The bride, usually soft-spoken, now had the floor. I took a breath. I looked at David's mother. Then I looked at the empty chair. "I want to thank Evelyn," I began, my voice steady, "for her unique contribution tonight. A ripple of confusion moved through the guests. She set a place for the past, I continued. Because she's afraid of the future. Evelyn's smile flickered. You see, Sarah isn't here. Not because she couldn't come, but because she moved on. She didn't stay anchored to what might have been. She didn't attend someone else's wedding, hoping to reclaim a moment. And tonight, Evelyn, you're going to do the same. The air in the room tightened. Because while that chair is empty, this marriage is full. I paused long enough for every word to land. And since you seem to value the guest who didn't show up more than the one who did, I think it's best you join her. A security guard stepped forward quietly. I handed him her coat. Gasps rippled through the ballroom. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I simply stood there, calm, composed, final. This is how gaslighting wears a tuxedo. It smiles. It dresses beautifully. It hides behind tradition. Evelyn had tried to trap me with politeness. If I reacted, I'd be hysterical. If I stayed quiet, I'd be erased. But she underestimated something. Grace can be sharp. Evelyn stood slowly. Her champagne gown shimmered under chandelier light, but her composure had cracked. She walked toward the exit. The doors opened. Cool night air spilled into the ballroom. And just like that, the ghost left the room. The band didn't play for a long moment. Guests looked at their glasses, at each other. Some clapped softly. Some did not. David stared at me. Not angry, not triumphant, just stunned. I sat back down. The room felt heavier, but honest. No more illusions. No more quiet humiliations. A wedding is supposed to celebrate union, not nostalgia. You do not honor the past by humiliating the present. You do not show love by publicly undermining someone's place at the table. And you do not protect your child by proving someone else was better. Respect is not earned by gesture. It is proven by behavior. So tell me, would you have kicked her out, or would you have ignored the chair? Because sometimes the person who brings an empty seat is the one who has no place left at the table.